and welcome! Lynx here. We are playing Serena. Let's go Serena. Yeah, I mean there are so many possibilities how you pronounce that name that, you know, I don't know which exactly version that dev would think of going for. Let's go Serena. The Thorns of an Immortal Heart. So this is from a dev that made My Dark Eden, which we played very recently. Now, the random chooser has decided we are going to play another game from Eroraen. So she's absolutely gorgeous, by the way. I absolutely love, obviously, multicolored eyes. I love white hair and also adding like the red at the end of the hair. I'm absolutely digging that. Let us check out the game. It was a warm April morning. All was relatively silent. Like the calm before the storm, which was to happen in that jungle of steel and concrete. If you took enough time to admire the sky, you could feel the breeze gently caressing your face. In the air, birds were beginning to take their morning flight. And on the ground, cars were beginning to populate the cold asphalt. But that sort of triviality didn't matter now. Why, you might ask? Because in this city, in this life, nobody cared about that anymore. Who would raise their gaze to watch the clouds sail over the blue sea? Who would appreciate the warmth that the sun leaves on us? No, people no longer value any of that. They prefer to focus their attention on what is in front of them, and not look behind. Where is the magic of life then? Do all people end up consumed in this way? That was extremely frightening. No one would want to suffer such a tragic fate. Maybe that's why, among all those people, in one of those crowded, busy streets, there was someone totally out of place. Who was that? Oh, it's her. She was a girl. And he was a boy. Anyway. A beautiful young maiden with white hair. As white and pure as snow. As pale as death itself. She kept her eyes on the ground, following a man. She made sure to keep up the pace, but although she was walking, her thoughts were elsewhere. Her mind, her feelings, they were far away. But her pain, what she carried in silence, accompanied her like a shadow. No one in the surroundings was aware of her presence. She was like a beautiful flower from the very Garden of Eden. Foreshadowing to the next game. In the middle of the desert. And nobody cared. Like automatons, each faceless figure moved from one place to another. Don't be left behind, the man said to her from time to time. What was she doing there? Where was she headed? Maybe that didn't matter either. Maybe. Ooh. Her sadness was visible. It looks like, you know, instead of tears falling down, it's like blood dripping from her eye. Her sadness was visible, her pain was noticeable. Ironically, all that suffering, sadness and pain was invisible to the not very discerning eye. So how can you tell? If her tears ran down her soul and not her cheeks. If each drop withered her wounded heart. As if she was sinking into a pit of darkness and she could only give silent cries of despair. Because she could feel herself drowning with each passing day. Every X on the calendar was one day less here. And one more in her torment. Unable to do anything to avoid this sad fate. She was bound up in that confusion and fear. Yo. Honestly, I think that's blood in the glass. That blood looks a little bit animated. I love that. She was bound up in that confusion and fear. Totally paralyzed. In addition to her sad gaze, her eyes were beginning to look empty. If you took a look at her, you knew that she was suffering from a terrible thirst. A thirst that water could not quench. What could it be? Of knowledge? Power? Of life? She didn't know either. She didn't know either, and she was afraid to know the answer. She could only observe the indifferent stares of the others on her. Who could she ask for help? No. She had no one. Because she's always been alone. And that without doubt increased her thirst. But who was to fill her cup? A cup of false promises and empty words. That would be a waste of time. Whew. Ow. Is that why no one remembers the last time she smiled? Can no one describe what her laugh is like anymore? Or the color of her eyes when she's happy? No. No one could do such a thing. And she herself could not do it either. Gradually she began to feel herself losing her essence. As her identity blurred. I want to scream. But no one would listen to her. I want to cry. But no one would comfort her. I want to run away. No one can run away from oneself. Kind of true. In that case, let me die. You can't do it. So, then I want to be saved. Serena, the thorns of an immortal heart. Okay, so the name of the girl maybe is not really giving that information, but from what little we've seen, so basically the blood being there, basically the title saying of immortality, maybe she's a vampire. And, you know, because she's immortal, she kind of can no longer go on like this? Something like that? Maybe. If you think about it, immortality might actually be a curse. It was morning. I had been up for several hours and was ready to go out. Today I had to go to the bank to withdraw some savings that I had for emergencies. I was in a serious predicament because I was unemployed. In fact, it wasn't something I was too worried about. If I was to be homeless or without food, if it was the work of what they call destiny, then go ahead. I considered that in this life, there were more important things to worry about. Things to pay attention to. Why should I lose my sleep over such things? I wanted to dream beyond these cold walls. Beyond these cold faces. You know, things. People. Nothing. It's forever. Or so they say. And if I were to lose everything, then I'd be willing to start all over again. I must go now, I said to myself. I looked in the mirror for the last time and closed the door before I started on my way. The smell of smoke from the cars made an unpleasant contrast to the rest of the atmosphere. I knew the path I had to follow, so my mind, almost out of habit, switched off from the world and went into a kind of automatic mode. It will do that, yeah. Especially if you know the path. I had no money. I had no job. Neither friends nor family. I had nothing, and that was something I found both distressing and indifferent at times. Even so, I pretended not to care. I didn't pay attention to my insecurities and worries, although it was something that would one day take its toll on me. You cannot run forever from what you are trying to avoid. But it scares me to know that, for many of those wars, I have already lost the battle. Every time I crossed the street, a part of me got angry. I couldn't stand such a dreary atmosphere. Shop lights, colorful advertisements, people with 1,000 colors in their hair, loud music, luxurious cars. But their expressions were as muted as a storm cloud. I'm sure that for more than one of those people, their greatest fear would be to simply stop for a second and appreciate that, deep down, they are even more alone than I am. You think that's the case? Everything they strive and sacrifice for, in the end, does not fill any of those voids we all feel. Maybe that's why we all feel unhappy. Or maybe it's that I just think too much. I do tend to do that, yeah. And I always end up with stupid conclusions. The answer was clear. That didn't matter either. I arrived at the doors of the bank and looked inside through the tinted windows. The blinds were down, so it was hard to see who was inside. Anyway, I went in. I opened the door. That was loud. Oh, so much squeaking. Oil the doors! I opened the door, whose metal knobs were burning from the sun, and the first thing I felt was a blast of cold wind from the air conditioning. I went inside, as if I was also entering another atmosphere totally opposite to the one outside. Far from the sun, far from the warmth, I went into what I call one of the rings of human darkness. Because here everything but joy abounds, of course. Kind of. Yeah. The atmosphere was undoubtedly gloomy. In spite of being in the middle of the year, when life abounds in the mountains, where the flowers are full of color, or the animals become more active, here on the other hand, it was the opposite. I detested these kinds of things. They consumed my morale. But it was necessary if I wanted to be functional in this society. Luckily, there were not as many people as on the other occasions. The typical old lady who comes to check her savings. Some man who will come to draw part of his salary, etc. But among all those people there was someone. A girl. She looked about my age and about my height. She was striking, very striking. Why? Well, her hair was completely white and her aura. She seemed so elegant, majestic, and mature, as well as sad. She caught my attention, obviously. How could she not? I didn't usually stop to look at others, but on this occasion, she seemed different. As if her place wasn't here. If I had more courage in such cases, I would certainly have approached her and asked for her number or her name. We all know that was not the case. I'm sure she has a name as elegant as her hair. But everybody on the ground! Someone shouted behind me. A hooded man wearing a black jacket and carrying a gun entered the bank. With one kick, he knocked one of the old women to the ground. He seemed nervous and quite violent. It was probably his first time doing something like this. I clenched my fists tightly, thinking about what to do. But what could I do? Rather, should I do something? In the worst case, I could end up with a bullet in my head for trying to be a hero. Where do you have the money? Give me everything you have to, you too! He ordered us as he aimed his gun at us. A second man, armed with a shotgun, entered just as agitated. They forced us all to give them our belongings. Watches, phones, money. You come on, you too! He shoved me as he went through my pockets. After that, he looked at the girl. There was a man, bald, of great height, who seemed to be like her father. He tried to stop the thieves from laying a hand on her, but ended up with a blow to his head from the butt of the gun. The man fell to the ground and the girl watched him with a panicked expression on her face. Give me what you have or I'll shoot you! He shouted at the young woman. But the third robber entered and with a gesture signaled to the rest that the police were coming. So they all ran away. Everyone except the one who was aiming at the girl. Did you hear me? Give me what you have or... He paused as he looked at her up and down. I have a better idea, you come with us. He grabbed her arm and pushed her towards the exit. He was going to kidnap her, wasn't he? But what kind of question am I asking? Of course he was going to kidnap her and who knows what else he would do to her. It was no time to think. I have nothing and what few things I had were just stolen from me. Now, I don't care about anything. So why not? Throw an object at him. Bring down the robber. Think of a different plan. What could I do to avoid the girl being kidnapped? I don't know what the last option tries to suggest here. Object. I do not know what we would throw. Also, even if we throw, wouldn't we be an easy target to shoot? I would say so. If we try to bring him down... I mean, I don't know, maybe just let's wait for him to pass us and just, trip him when he does that? I think that would be the solution. Unless we are not in the path, I guess. You know what? We're going to bring down the robber. Frick it. Edgar said he doesn't have anything to lose. He doesn't care. He cares about, saving the girl I get from the kidnapper. Which is very good, by the way. Let's do that. I decided it was now or never. That's right, now or never. I took all the courage I had and pounced on the robber when I had the chance. Ow! That definitely hurt. The girl fell to one side, and I stood over the man. The gun slid to the floor and sirens began to blare nearby. "You! Get out of my way!" He shouted and punched me in the nose to get rid of me. He picked up the gun from the floor and shot without looking to avoid being followed. I breathed a sigh of relief, but... this is... blood. I've been wounded, haven't I? Don't tell me I got shot. Crap. I just hope it is from the punch. I collapsed as if in realizing this. All the pain had suddenly awakened. What's that? I closed my eyes and placed my hands on my face. Okay, this is from the being hit. As if in a crude attempt to relieve the pain. I heard people coming out of the bank. The police stopped in front of the building and was getting more and more rowdy outside. When I opened my eyes, all was relatively calm. But now I was not alone. Dude, I love her hair so much. In front of me was the girl from before. With a worried expression on her face and quiet, nervous. As if she was extremely worried about me? I guess that's a normal reaction when someone is wounded, isn't it? And yet, I was surprised that anyone would come forward to help another person. I was so hurt. Are you alright? Because of me you've been... she said in a warm and sweet tone but full of guilt and worry. Me? Oh no, it's nothing, don't worry, just a scratch. A scratch? But you're bleeding. She scolded me, raising her voice. I could almost feel her scolding me for the stupid thing I said. Trying to be a hero. You are... It's nothing, see? I tried to reassure her, hiding the pain on my face. She looked at my wound almost as if she was hypnotized. I assume it was the result of shock or stress. So I didn't care too much. Yeah. She turned to me as she brought her finger close to my skin, wetting her fingers with my blood. I thought it's alright, I'm sure that... I was trying to stop her. Under my astonished gaze, she licked the blood from her fingers. As she did so, I could almost swear that her eyes sparkled. What are you... When she reacted and realized what she had done, she covered her face. She stood up and turned around. The man who seemed with her came over and stood next to me. Boy, are you alright? He asked me as he stroked his earlier bump. Yeah, really. It seems superficial, it doesn't matter. I kept insisting as I pretended to get up. Anyway, let's go outside and get a doctor to treat you. You're right, yeah. He offered me his hand to help me stand up. Thank you. I thanked him politely. I went outside and was immediately treated for my wound. As I said, nothing serious. However, this time it was just pure luck. I could have been killed if that had been the case. After they washed my wound and applied a bandage, they told me I could leave. But not before talking to the police. We all stated what we had seen in order to give as many details as possible about the thieves. When I finished, I was beginning to think that this was going to be an extremely long day. That's what I thought until again, the man's voice called out to me. Hey, kiddo! Can I talk to you for a minute? Actually, that voice hurts. He called me after putting his hand on my shoulder. Sure, what's wrong? I turned to speak to him properly. He took my arm as he pulled me away from the other people, I guess, to talk in private. I have to thank you for protecting Serena, the girl from before, with such a bravery. If you hadn't, maybe... I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. You're welcome. It was what I had to do, I suppose. You don't need... I don't want to talk to you, just to say thank you. He stopped me. By the way, what's your name? My name is Edgar. Edgar Bright. Oh, that's a good name. I'm Raymond, but everyone calls me Ray. And the girl from before is Serena. I'm her attendant. I take care of her security. Clearly not in the best way. Okay, that was not funny. Fulfilling her needs and a long list of other tasks. The point here is, I have talked to her about what happened. What happened? I was not sure what he meant. You know, after she licked your blood. Oh. You'll see. She's sick. As far as you can see, she's a fragile and weak girl. She can hardly tolerate the sun and doesn't usually leave her room, but she was so insistent that I had to bring her with me. Even more so sounds like a vampire. It sounds strange, but her illness forces her to need transfusions of blood, almost as if it were her only source of food or sustenance. Without it, she loses her strength and becomes weaker and weaker. I mean, that's... yeah. And what I want to talk to you about is that she won't tolerate just any kind of blood. In fact, she had not been able to eat properly for too long, so with the stress of the moment, the heat of the sun, and her thirst, she lost control. Absolutely sounds like a vampire. I guess when she saw your blood, she couldn't resist tasting it, and that's kind of weird, you know. Finding someone whose blood is compatible with Serena's body is rare. Very rare. That's why I'm sure her dad would think the same as me. Where are you going with this whole story? It almost seems like you're pulling my leg with a vampire joke. Listen, kid. How about coming with us for a while? We'll pay you for your stay, a higher salary than here, and whatever you need. In return, you will have to take care of her, and above all, I think there's a wrong idea that I work in this bank, which I don't, but give her some of your blood. You're kidding me, right? How can a human being need blood to live? I mean, we do. Get rid of the blood, entire blood from human, and you'll see what happens, I guess. Not like I've seen, but I know, obviously. Is it even legal to ask me such a thing? I questioned. Please. You can leave at any time, but at least come with us and see for yourself how much she needs help. Both for your blood and for perhaps some companionship. I turned my head to look for her. She was looking down the floor. Oh, you know what? I wonder if the beginning of the game was a little bit kind of saying what's gonna be in the future as well. She was looking down the floor as she waited for us to finish talking. And as a distraction, she wrapped her hair around her index finger. Serena, eh? What kind of person was this girl? You know what this man Ray was saying, didn't she have any friends? I was curious to meet her. Alright, I'll go with you, I answered with determination. Really? He asked me to check that I was absolutely sure of my decision. Yeah, we can leave right now if you need to. Don't you have to, take your things, say goodbye to anyone, and... Nah, I'll leave without anything else. Besides, my apartment, that robber has already taken what little I have, and almost took my own life as well. I have nothing left to lose, so why not? I see. In that case, Serena! He called out her firmly. We're leaving! Do you think vampires have bank accounts? On their name? I mean... It would be problematic because banks do know, like, date of birth and such, so... How would that work? Without knowing how I had ended up in this situation. Now I was in the backseat of a car that was not mine. With a man I didn't know and a girl who needed my blood to survive. The scriptwriter of my life has no doubt gone mad or drunk today. Who knows, maybe he did. Or maybe she did. Perhaps a mixture of both. That's about being mad or drunk, not he or she, okay? No mixture here. That man Ray talked to me some more about what I needed to do in this new job. I just listened to what he said. Serena barely looked at me or spoke. She remained silent, as if she did not trust me, or conversely was still embarrassed by her slip. We arrived at what I guessed was the mansion where Serena lived. It was as big as irregular? It looked new yet old? Or so my intuition told me. I got out of the car with Serena while Ray went to park the vehicle and get a few more things. Serena, take Edgar to the guest room and check his wound. He will stay there as long as he resides in the mansion. Can you do that? He asked her as if it were a big favor. Yes, no problem. Also, again, she's a beauty, man. What the heck? I know this is only the second game from Eroraen we are playing, but... Could it be that the dev is incapable of making not attractive characters? I bet all characters will be attractive, right? I'm not complaining, that's great. But then again, also, in general, that style, I don't know, there is some huge charm to the style of characters in those games. I mean, to be fair, that's what got me interested in the first place, in general, as well. That's what I pay attention to when I'm browsing itch.io. I see thumbnail of the game that, you know, somehow catches my attention. I click. That was the case with the previous game we played before. Anywho, she seemed to accept without objection. Perfect. I'll be back in a few minutes. She said something, but I could not hear. She remained silent. Okay, she did not say anything actually. The car drove off and she tried to avoid making eye contact for too long. Without a doubt, it was obvious that she was avoiding me. When our eyes met, she quickly looked away. Was she uncomfortable with my presence? Perhaps she doesn't like me at all, or is she still embarrassed? We walked towards the entrance, but first I want to break the ice with her. If I was going to leave here now, I want to at least a pleasant atmosphere. So... You are Serena? Am I right? Yes, that's right. Serena Reginar. She answered my question politely. And... Do you really need my blood? Isn't a bit... abnormal? She finished my question as if she had already answered it many times. It is, of course it is. But do you think my condition is something I asked for? No, of course not. I'm sorry. I just... Sorry. She sighed. I'm a bit tense because of what happened this morning. And I'm also not sure what happened to me when you... And I... You mean when you licked my blood? Don't say it like that! It's the first time something like this has happened to me. I understand you have a lot of questions about this, but we can talk later. Is that okay? Now let's go inside before the sun kills me. You're right, yeah. Sorry, come on. With a gesture of my hand, I invite her to continue walking so she could guide me to the mansion. Yeah. Serena opened the front door and we entered to the place that, from today, will be my new home. The first thing I noticed was that, unlike the outside, everything was quite clean and airy. I suppose Serena had a group of servants who would do most of the chores for her, didn't she? I imagine that now. I was also part of that entourage. We walked up the stairs while my peasant shoes soiled the luxurious carpets on the floor. Until we stopped at one of the doors. My new room. My new home. Can I see it? No. Alright, I think... It's Act 1 New Blood. I think... Let's cut it right now. We kind of started off with the introduction, how we got to the place and so on. And what's next? We'll find out tomorrow. For now, hope you enjoyed this episode of Serena. If you did, consider liking the video, subscribe if you're new, as per usual. Of course, the game is linked in the description, so you can go and get it yourself as well. And yeah, with that being said, hope you all have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow too. Bye bye.